You will not be shocked if some of the countries of the region will not or will decline supporting Raila Odinga. That is my worry. And I have a feeling if our regional brothers and sisters were to support us, we'll clinch that particular position because it's coming back to East Africa. And therefore, endorsement by President William Ruto will be almost like he himself wanting to take a ride on a moving ship. Otherwise, I would not even find it hard for him to endorse Raila. Whether he will benefit politically or not is yet another matter. Without really mincing my words, this is a collection of a cabal of opportunists who are seeing they have a chance to fleece the country and line their pockets and in the process get themselves to certain realities of being the richest in Africa or the richest in town.
And you are just in time for Richard Monge exclusive, of course, here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. It's always a pleasure to have you on board, and today, our premiere edition for this week, we are glad to host none other than your resident analyst on matters politics and governance and former cabinet minister, that is Kipruto Arap Kiroa. We are hosting him today right from his home, quite a magnificent home. He'll tell us more about that. But truly, sir, we are really glad to have you on board. Welcome.
Well, it's my pleasure and welcome to this humble abode.
Humble, really?
Humble by any standards, because a home is a home. Whether it's Christ-thatched, mabati or tiled, it's a home. And therefore, you only get excited for the first 6 months. But for the last 20 years I've lived here, so the excitement has waned over the period. Yeah.
Many people of my age, or my peers rather, I should say that, dream and actually imagine of just owning a piece like this. For you, while you are, say, 20 years old, 25, did you ever imagine of scaling to such heights in life?
It was my aspiration, but you see, some dreams come true. I remember I passed here, I think 3 years before I bought the first plot. And I wished I would live here. Later on, when I was looking for this parcel of land, a friend of mine told me, I've seen a parcel of land, but it is a bit too steep for effective construction of a residential home. When I came here, I realized this is the plot I admired. And the rest is history. We've been able to be here. We thank God. We've been here now for over 20 years. And of course, we started our landscaping from the river towards the main house.
Good. So let me work hard in life. Maybe I'll buy a piece of this land from you, right?
Well, the challenge is one, unless I move away, you cannot divide below 1 acre in Karen, especially this particular area. But you can be my neighbor.
Of course I will, someday. That of the way,
everything is possible.
Yeah, very well. That of the way, let's get straight into today's conversation. And how about we converse on the latest expression of interest by Raila Odinga, that of to clinch the AU position, AU chairmanship position, I should say that. And from where I sit, from a general perspective, Kipruto, let me ask, what is at stake from a general perspective? Should Raila lose or should he clinch the seat?
For me, I look at it positively. I look at it positively in the sense that as Kenyans, we must learn that politics is not about competition. Politics is about accommodation. Politics is about accepting realities. And if former Prime Minister Raila Odinga wants to go for that position, all Kenyans of goodwill should be able to support him in the sense that that position is not personal to Raila. It's a position that one of us will have occupied since for the last almost 60 years, since 1963 May, when OAU was formed. That is a precursor to AU. No Kenyan has risen to the position of the chair of the commission, except of course President Moi was the chairman of OAU for 2 years. But in terms of position of commission, we've only had Ambassador Mwencha, who was the vice chair,
Erastus Mwencha,
for 2 terms. The position of Secretary General Tanzania has had it, and many other countries have had it, but we've not had it as a nation. So instead of looking at our own internal competition between the current regime and Raila, I think we should see beyond that. We should see it as an opportunity for us to be able to leverage ourselves in Africa, knowing that the wall of competition is about what is in it for you as Kenya, not as Prime Minister Raila.
Very well.
So that's the way I look at it. And let me also add to say I'm grateful. The current regime has supported Raila. Should he clinch the position, I'm sure they should not say they were supporting him in turn for him to support them in the next election. Next election is a different ball game whatsoever.
Very well.
If Raila decides to come back and run or decides to support somebody else, that should not be a position that is his quid pro quo. No, the running of Raila for that particular position is totally independent of him running for office or supporting an individual.
Talking of which, we've seen President Ruto sort of assemble a campaign machinery to help Raila Odinga clinch this bid, which actually begs the question, does this sort of point to the direction of there having been behind the scene negotiation between Ruto and Raila Odinga, and how is this likely to play out in the public gallery in the fullness of time?
In terms of diplomacy and diplomatic protocol, you can not run for an office of that particular level unless you have got the endorsement of your own country or the government of the day. Therefore, whether there was talk between Raila and President William Ruto for purposes of clinching that position, that is in order. You do not expect that today I can say I want to be a Secretary General of IGAD or East Africa without the support of my home country. It is critical, and it is a diplomatic protocol and etiquette, so that you don't run somebody whose country does not support him or her.
Very well. And let me ask you this. For those in Azimio, you are a member of Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition, and so far we've seen some quarters there in take concern with the expression of interest by Raila Odinga, and some really taking concern with that bid, saying he shouldn't go for it. From where you sit, do you consider such legislators to be opportunists around Raila, that they feel should Raila head to the AU, then little can be done about their future political bids or whatever interest that has always brought them closer to Raila Odinga?
You know, Richard, what we've done as a country, we've made our politics antagonistic. And that antagonism goes all the way to the ground, that if the chief in town is somebody who favors me, therefore I will have a better chance of being re-elected in the next general election. But, and therefore, they are right to get worried, but they're also naive in the sense that some of us look at this particular position as a privileged position that a Kenyan can clinch and also, and in the process, make our country better understood outside. Let me add to say, hasten to add, that Kenya, in terms of geopolitics, we are very strong, but weak at the same time. Strong in the sense that we have a strong human resource capacity. We are strong in terms of infrastructural development and the positioning of Kenya vis-a-vis the rest of the continent. We are strong in the sense that our people, in terms of socialization, they have achieved a certain threshold capacity to be able to interact in terms of business, opportunities, and other aspects. We are weak at the same time because we have a lot of rivalry from the region. You will not be shocked if some of the countries of the region will not or will decline supporting Raila Odinga. That is my worry. And I have a feeling if our regional brothers and sisters were to support us, we'll cling that particular position because it's coming back to East Africa for the first time. It has been to South Africa, it's been to West Africa, North Africa, now Central Africa. If it came to East Africa, I don't see anything wrong at all.
Very well. Talking of which, should say our regional neighbors here, case in point Tanzania Republic, failed, or I should say front someone like Jakaya Kikwete, the former president. Are we looking at a situation whereby Raila Odinga could be dealt with a catastrophic blow because his chances will somewhat be dimmed by an equally lethal competitor?
Well, Raila Odinga has acquired a unique position in Africa. Apart from the fact that he is the son of the first vice president of Kenya, who was almost like co-president with Kenyatta, given the fact that Mr. Oginga Odinga refused to form government unless Kenyatta was released. Therefore, the father acquired a iconic figure in the continent of Africa. Like today, if you are told it's the son of Mandela is running for certain office, you will give him some kind of benefit of doubt until he proves himself that is not worth the salt. Now, Raila himself has been able to play certain roles in Africa, including here in our country, such that he has been elevated. We were ministers together, but I cannot say I'm in the same league with Raila Odinga. He acquires a certain position. So whether he loses or wins, for me, it is not that Jakaya Kikwete has a higher stature than Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is an institution on his own. He's not just an individual that you would actually dismiss the way you would dismiss me or any other funny guy in town.
Any other funny guy in town. Yes. Raila Odinga is an institution.
He's an institution.
Very well. Talking about of which, there are many people whom this thought is domiciled in their minds, and that which has to do with the country has a national debt to Raila, or at least I should say to the Odinga's family, all thanks to the sacrifices they have made to this country, which have even gone ahead of their ages. Do you really feel like this endorsement by President Ruto is something that has been long overdue? It is something we should have given Raila from before.
Well, Raila qualifies for that position. Raila merits that position. And therefore endorsement by President William Ruto will be almost like he himself wanting to take a ride on a moving ship. Otherwise, I would not even find it hard for him to endorse Raila. Whether he will benefit politically or not is yet another matter. And therefore, we are not repaying Raila for what he has done. We are giving that position to Raila as a country because we know the residual benefits we are likely to accrue out of him occupying that position.
He merits the position.
He merits the position.
Very well. Let's cross over to what now this portends for the opposition, that is Azimio in this country. Should Raila clinch the seat, how blurry or brighter is the future of Kenya's opposition space without Raila being at the helm of it?
Well, I've maintained a certain sober line that the current regime, particularly President William Ruto, will win or lose the election not on the basis of the strength of the opposition. It is on the basis of the promises that he made to Kenyans and the fact that most of those promises are falling through the cracks. And therefore, I would not be worried who is going to face him in the next election. I would be worried on whether we shall secure the votes, we shall protect the votes, and we shall allow the votes to be counted and announced.
Very well.
Unless he changes dramatically. President Ruto seems to be leading a bunch of individuals who have failed to form a team. Because in leadership, teamwork delivers. Gangstery does not deliver. And of course, without really mincing my words, this is a collection of a cabal of opportunists who are seeing they have a chance to fleece the country and line their pockets and in the process get themselves to certain realities of being the richest in Africa or the richest in town.
Very well. Much as you have chosen to be positive with this latest bid by Raila Odinga, let's look at it from the flip side. Should he actually not clinch the AU chairmanship position, are we likely to see that being the last nail on the political coffin of Raila Odinga? Is this likely to dampen his spirit and any other future elective bids he could be harboring in his mind?
If there's an animal in this town or in this country that has capacity to do metamorphosis many times and survive, it is Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga will come back from AU, whether he wins or loses, a very strong individual. And we'll get somebody to blame on. Perhaps it may be the campaign team led by Kimani Ichung'wah that will have failed Raila, not Raila failing to clean that particular position. So notwithstanding the results of AU election, which is likely to come up in the next few days or so, I see this as an opportunity for Kenya to showcase that one of their sons has a capacity to have a position in Africa, not competition between Raila and those other make-believe individuals who I consider them opportunists who take advantage of everything that happens in town and they want to claim credit.
Very well.
Yeah.
Rightly put there. And let me ask you this. Do you consider the statesman that is Raila Odinga to be one who is likely to have an organic following that is likely to embrace him whether he wins or not? Is he likely to come back to open arms?
Yes, I have this feeling, but personally I will not change. I will either vote for him or not vote for him on the basis of other factors, not on the basis of whether he wins the position in AU or he does not win. And even if he wins, he still got the opportunity to say, yes, I've had this term for 2 years. The rest of the 2 years, I'm leaving it, and I'm going to run for the presidency at home, or I'm going to support so and so. So it is not like an exchange program that you give me this position, I give the people to you, because ordinary voters are not in any way captive of their leader. Voters are not homogeneous. Voters are dynamic, and they can decide to support whoever will emerge as a good candidate or support the current president or call Raila to come back and run.
Very well.
All those are possibilities within the space that we occupy as a political entity called Kenya.
Well said there. And for those within Kenya Kwanza government who feel like Raila's endorsement for the AU position is the best vehicle for us to send him to Kenya's political oblivion, how true or false do you think they are?
Well, that is a product of fertile imagination and naivety. And when somebody is politically naive, you expect him to say anything. And some of the things that they say are quite laughable. And therefore, I do not want to exercise my little energy in dealing with some of those individuals because I sympathize with them. I feel that they do not belong to the political class that some of us belong. They are people who are below bar, and therefore their existence is just a courtesy or provide intervention. Mungu amewarehemu tu, wako taoni.
Ni Mungu tu amewarehemu.
Amerehemu.
For those within Kenya, within Azimio, or I should say the opposition side, who believe with the endorsement of Raila to AU, it's also another high time before he exits, he grooms someone to take over from him. How fast do you think we should embrace that idea for those in Azimio?
Personally, if Raila wins the next challenge, for me, I would rather he comes back, we celebrate, and we sober up. Then political realignments will emerge. And the most important thing, in my own honest opinion and in my own little assessment, is that let us not have an individual that so-and-so is the candidate preferred by Raila. Let it be a product of consultation, a product of consensus, and we build up to an individual like the way we said Kibaki Tosha in 2002. Kibaki was not arrived at overnight. We had a lot of meetings both in Naivasha, Abadeas, Mombasa, all over this country. And it was not easy. It's not that they loved each other. Eventually, we had that particular consensus, And that is the consensus that carried today. In a way, I still believe the process justifies the end, or the means justify the end. It's not the Machiavellian way that the end justifies the means. Once you have the right process, the product will be okay, and therefore the product of that consensus is likely to carry the day even across the board.
Well, there you have it. That point by the powerhouse and think tank itself, Ruto Arap Kirwa, former cabinet minister, takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, talking matters to do with what the future portends for Raila Odinga in the world of politics and governance. And we as a country, we truly are behind this bid, hoping that it will be one that will usher Kenya into the next height of success, legacy and prosperity. Until next time on Richard Mwangi Exclusive, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. And Minister, thank you so much for hosting us at your home.
Yep.
It's always a pleasure.
So,
I'm seeing the camera crew behind us washing their hands ready for the chicken and digging in. We say asante sana.
yeah, it's my pleasure. Anytime I host, I feel this place is more beautiful with people. If I was to be here seated and dozing off, I'd be a miserable old man.
We are going to help you age gracefully.
Thank you.
By giving you the lively space that you really need.
Yes, and the ambience and the beauty around it. Yeah.
Well, asanteni sana. Until next time when we get to meet each other on this platform, do have yourself a good day ahead.